Essentially, the point of this episode is to highlight how much Louie sucks and how he's not like other humans and that he can't read a room or pick up social cues. And from what I can't help but surmise, Alex doesn't matter in this episode. He's just sort of there. Judd must have had some contractual obligation to be in the majority of scenes or something. I don't know. Welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of Taxi. Now, for those of you who are new or for some reason forgot, the way the show works is we start with the potent notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that I found out about the episode or series. Then we go into the episode overview, which is me talking about everything that happened in the episode. Then we do the rank, the namesake of the show, where I rank the episode in 5 categories on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, all to find out what is the best sitcom of all time. We take a series, we rank every single episode of that series, the average ranking gives you the series ranking, and that's how we figure out what is the best series of all time. Now today we're ranking the 13th episode of the second season of Taxi, titled Louie Meets the Folks, which was written by Barry Kemp and directed by James Burrows. Now this series is 45 years old, so there's going to be spoilers ahead. I guess just watch it if you want to before this, if you don't want spoilers. Now for those of you who have been following along for a while and you're enjoying the show, please consider subscribing and or following, like the episode, comment. You can also reach out to me via email, info@therankpodcast.com. You can send your questions, comments, suggestions, whatever to me, and I will respond to them. If you super duper like it, please consider becoming a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/therankpodcast. All right, so let's find out how this episode ranked, starting with the potent notables.
Potent notables.
So this 35th episode of Taxi was released on Tuesday, December 11th, 1979. Once again, I couldn't find the ratings for the week, but I did find an article in the New York Times archive that references this week. It only gives the totals for the networks for this week, in which ABC beat CBS 19.9 to 19, and NBC was way behind with a 16.6. So these were the average ratings for the week, and even though ABC won the week, CBS had 6 of the top 10 shows. That's what the article said. I wish I had more in-depth information, but you know, Nielsen keeps that. And unless you guys want to start giving me money to get it, I'm not going to pay Nielsen to get that info.
Yeah, give us internet money.
Now, I don't have a ton here, but here's a kind of weak potent notable. Camilla Ashland, who plays Mrs. Sherman, Zena's mom, would later work with Rhea Perlman, appearing as her former school principal in Cheers. Camilla spent her career as an actress mostly working on stage and was married to Broadway director James Vincent Russo. She was nominated for a Tony in 1967 for lead actress in the show Black Comedy, but that was pretty much the highlight of her career. She did some TV work later in her career while she and James lived in New York. They decided to retire away from the winters in California, and she passed away in 2008 at 97 years old. So there you go. Those are the potent notables. Let's go to the episode overview. So we open the episode with another reason that Tony should really stop boxing. The dude never wins. He's gonna end up with brain damage. I had a friend actually who went pro too soon, and I haven't heard from him in years, but a mutual friend told me that he's blind in one eye and is seemingly deranged now. Being knocked out regularly and not being as good as the competition is no joke. A way to fuck up your life. Sorry, that's way too heavy for an episode of Taxi, but you know what? The Taxi writers do that shit all the time, so fuck it. Right after Tony, we get another silly bit with Bobby getting fan mail. I think it's unlikely that actors get fan mail from their commercial spots, but whatever, I'm willing to go with it. Then, turns out it's a lunatic who wants a lock of his hair and other craziness, which of course Bobby sends out. Anyway, that's the whole episode arc for Tony and Bobby. We're going to get straight to the point of the episode shortly, and that's that Zena, who I was happy to see back, by the way, is refusing to continue to date Louie unless he meets her parents. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself, that sounds like a funny episode idea, but how will they be able to include Alex in the entire episode?
I wasn't thinking that.
Don't you worry. Louie is going to offer Alex $200 to go to the dinner with him because he wants to show that he's friends with classy people. Of course, this is just about the flimsiest premise we've ever established on this show of flimsy premises, but you knew they were going to include him, so whatever, I guess. Let's dive right into the dinner now, because Louie is going to show up at Zena's parents' house with Alex, and the mom is going to wishfully think that Alex is actually Louie. The dad isn't home yet, but don't worry, we're going to make the exact same joke with him later. Now, I'm saying that like I didn't like it. It was very much expected, but I did enjoy it. Only one joke from Jim has made me laugh so far in this episode, but that's about to change. Louie's going to tell the dad a joke. How do you stop a fish from smelling? You cut off its nose. Now, I can't decide if I am or not embarrassed to admit that it got me, but whatever. It did get me. I'll take whatever joy I can from this episode at this point, though. Essentially, the point of this episode is to highlight how much Louie sucks and how he's not like other humans and that he can't read a room or pick up social cues. And from what I can't help but surmise, Alex doesn't matter in this episode. He's just sort of there. Judd must have had some contractual obligation to be in the majority of scenes or something. I don't know. But one thing that must be mentioned is that Louie thought it was a good idea to mention at this dinner with his girlfriend's parents, the first time meeting them, as a matter of fact, that he'd never been with anyone but prostitutes before Zena. I mean, what the absolute fuck, Louie? Holy shit. After that, we get the most relatable thing ever. Zena's mom threatens to kill Louie if he ever even attempts to propose to Zena. Now, I will say that from the prostitute emission on, the episode got funny, but there wasn't enough time left to save it. They're going to end the dinner with abject fear from Louie, which was pretty enjoyable, and the veneer of niceness from Zena's mom. The last 5 minutes being remarkably better than the first 15. But let's find out how much that last 5 minutes saved it. Let's go to the rank.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. But before I dive in here, I just want to say if you're enjoying this episode so far, please leave a like down below. It really does help us out. So now the first category is story, which I gave a 4.25. This is a solid story. Louie, the crass dispatcher, has to meet his sweet girlfriend's equally sweet and nice parents. It's a story that's ripe for comedy until the taxi riders get a hold of it. All right, so let's get to the next category, which is acting, which I also gave a 4.25. The acting was good. There's not much else to say here. I don't think there's a ton to complain about other than it not being funny. So let's go to dialogue, which is where I can really knock it for not being funny, and I did. I gave it a 2.25 because they took a good premise and just wrote terrible jokes. Or in a lot of cases, not necessarily terrible, just not very good. So let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 2.5. There's one glaring. The gymnastics the writers had to do to make it so that Alex was in the whole episode was ridiculous. Louie paid Alex, a taxi driver, and essentially his employee, to come to the meet the parents dinner with him to show that he hangs out with classy people. I suppose it seems to cohere to the rest of the series and that Alex gets included in everything for silly reasons, but this felt like the biggest stretch we've seen so far. The other glaring one for me was Louie thinking it was a good idea to bring up his history with prostitutes. That's just bananas. Though again, you could say that it fits his character. It just feels a little too far out. As far as coherence with the structure of the episode, everything else was good. So let's go to character relatability, which I gave a 3.5. I mean, I suppose I would go to another person's meet the parents date if I were paid $200, so I guess that's relatable. I can relate to being worried about it from Louie's perspective and being upset with the significant other not agreeing to do it from Zena's. Everything else Louie does, besides being worried, is basically not what a human would do, so pretty hard to relate to. However, his alien attributes do lead to a high relatability with Zena's mother, so I guess there's that. All right, so we got kind of up and down scores here. Good premise, not good execution. If it's got a good laugh counter, it'll save it. Unfortunately, it did not. It only got me 9 times. So there you have it, a grand total of 25.75, which makes it a mediocre. As for the series average, it's at a 25.5, which keeps it as mediocre. But, you know, it is still continuing to climb little by little. This one didn't help, though. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you'll get access to all of our archived episodes. And once again, if you enjoyed the episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help the show grow. But I will leave you with this. When is the only appropriate time to admit felonious behavior? When you're meeting your significant other's parents, obviously.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Hey, it was like a video. It was like the middle of my video, but Brendan changed it to his video.
Okay. Well, when I'm done recording this, I'll come up and talk to him about it, okay?
He's really a very good father.